Vincent Trocheck put the over in double overtime and put the Garden in a state of euphoria once again. The Rangers maintain a perfect postseason. They win Game 2 against the Carolina Hurricanes in double overtime, 4-3 the final. Thanks for hanging with us inside the Delta MSG studios. John Giannone and Henrik Lundqvist and Steve Valiquette. Hank, you played in 30 of those over your career, 30 overtime games in the playoffs. Tell me what the tension level is on the ice and what the relief level is when you win one.
Well, for a goalie, you know that every save matters. And obviously going into overtime, double overtime, it only increases what you're feeling, right? So watching this game, great goaltending, both sides, it was just fun to watch.
Yeah.
And both teams kept pushing the pace throughout both overtime periods. And Igor Shesterkin, I mean, he was the difference. And going into this game, my big question with Freddie Anderson, can he be a difference maker the way Igor can be for the Rangers? And I have to say, Freddie played really well in overtime, but in the end, watching the quality chances Carolina had throughout the game, Igor was definitely the difference in this one.
I think the feedback for the Rangers is that's a really good team. It's not going to be easy. Everybody's anticipating a long series. Can the Rangers contain that Aho line? It's a lot like playing the Pittsburgh Penguins 2 years ago when Crosby was rolling with Rust and Gensel. Now it's Gensel again with Aho and Svechnikov. But what I'm seeing is that they're controlling the play. And I think as we go through this series, the Rangers are going to have to take away Aho's wingers. If they can clamp down on those guys and not allow him to have pass options, I'm okay with the Rangers playing the other three lines toe-to-toe. But this is going to be a war, boys. I mean, that was one heck of a final third period and into overtime. It's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Special teams. I mean, the Rangers penalty kill, outstanding. Just their reads and how they're making it so difficult for Carolina to create big scoring chances because they had a lot of opportunities to win this game, Carolina, on their power play, but that must be very frustrating for them, and at the same time, a huge boost for the Rangers team, being able to do what they did, especially in overtime.
And to think that penalty kill and power play would play a role after regulation time. It so rarely happens in the NHL, but both teams were penalized, and it ended up that Vincent Trocheck, off a mad scramble in front at 7:22 of the second overtime, would be the game winner for the Rangers.
I think that we were all in agreement where we were talking about it would have to be a broken play. The goalies were playing too well. They weren't just going to get beat clean from distance. It was going to take something at the net where who's going to find it first? It's a battle of attrition in front of the net in the postseason. The net front had to be won. And when the shot comes through initially, you recover it, you throw it there, and you're the first one on the doorstep to find it. It was just enough for Trocheck to be able to get there with the timing, getting off the wall, presence from Kreider, of course, but it had to be chaos, right, guys? It had to be. It wasn't going to be something that was going to be clean. This was a battle that had to be won. The Rangers, they were able to withstand. And the good news for me is they realized how difficult this game was, which will really tighten their focus for Game 3 when you go back to Raleigh. And it's going to be a battle, boys. What can you say? That's one of the classic games we've ever covered for this team.
I'm just watching that. And that moment right there, it doesn't get much better than that. For any player play in the playoffs at home, to win in overtime, to celebrate with your teammates, to hear the fans, their excitement. Watching that for me, it gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
It's the best part of playing sports where everything is just on edge and there's so much adrenaline and to come out with the W at home like that. It's an incredible feeling.
Yeah, and what we remember so well when it happened with you is that mad dash down the ice because it's 200 feet to go celebrate with your teammates.
Well,
right?
and on that skate down, you take it all in. You look up in the stands. You can see the fans celebrating, the excitement. You hear it, obviously, but that's one of the best part of playing team sports, too. You get to celebrate it with your teammates, and it's been, is it 4 hours of hockey here, and just how much work they put into this game. That's why it's so hard when if you're on the wrong side of things, to lose a game like this in a series, now going down to Carolina up 2-0 instead of 1. I mean, that's a massive difference. But that skate down over the ice, oh man, it's the best.
And Igor Shesterkin got to take it tonight, and wow, did he have a night. 54 saves. The Carolina Hurricanes attempted, Steve, 116 shots in the 4 periods plus 7:22 of the second overtime.
How are your legs, Igor?
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing now. It's you're already thinking about recovery because he's got to play a game in 48 hours. But Igor, I mean, guys, he turned it up in the third period. That was the 2-on-1 save. Short-handed, Carolina has 3 scoring chances, and it didn't stop. When you get into overtime, number 1, it was chance after chance. And I thought Igor, this is where he really took over the game. He had to be a belief, a sense of a beacon of hope for the rest of the group. And I think that this really rallied them. Imagine the motivation the players got seeing Igor be able to respond this way, save after save, and a lot of high danger. This was not an easy display of goaltending by any means. When you get into the first overtime, into the second overtime, he was an impact all over the ice. And I bet a big sense of inspiration for everybody on the team just to keep fighting, just to live to fight for the next shift. And that's what the Rangers did. They were ready and available, man after man.
And I remember this is something we talked about early on in Igor's career over here. His stance, he stands pretty tall, pretty high. So I think he's light on his feet, and I think it saves him so much energy, especially when there's a long game. It was an intense game, but I do think if you ask him now about his legs, I think he's fine. You didn't see him fatigued at all in overtime, the second overtime, because of his stance. A lot of times he stands up and he gets set right before the shot, and it allows him to have a high stance but also be more patient. A lot of the things he's doing, I did myself.
Okay.
It allowed you
Another thing you never shared with me.
Well, you didn't have to stand that tall because you were tall to begin with, you know. But if you're not,
my legs would have been toast.
But if you're 6'6", it's very different how low you can get. You're still going to cover top part of the net. But when you're 6'1", it makes a huge difference if you start up high and then you get set right before the shot. But it also allows you to be more patient.
Yeah, this is amazing. Igor Shesterkin stopped 15 shots after regulation time ended. 10 in the first overtime, 5 in the second overtime. He stopped in all, including the third period, 32 shots to end the game. And this is how many saves he made on the night, 54. Hank, that's how many you made back in 2017 against the Montreal Canadiens in an overtime game. Only Gump Worsley in 62, and we remember the double overtime game where Igor Shesterkin stopped 79 against the Pittsburgh Penguins. He lost that night. He won tonight. He's now 6-0 in the postseason, and the only 2 goalies in the last 20 years who have won more right out of the gate, Marc-Andre Fleury won 7 in a row, and Freddie Anderson won his first 6 games in the playoffs for the Anaheim Ducks back in 2015. Oh. Igor now 6 for 6 to start the postseason.
Good pull, John.
Thank you.
But you know what? To go with the fatigue conversation, it makes cowards of us all. And I think that, once again, that was really the push that everybody needed. You have to believe that you've got a chance. And everybody had some belief there. And it starts with Igor, but it comes all the way through the energy of the team, and I think that was definitely the catalyst in this thing, guys.
And obviously it helps. You play 4 games, you get almost a week off, and go into a game like this, a big test against a great team, a long game. If there's one game you want to go long, it's after, have some rest. They played game 1, but obviously it makes a big difference when you don't have to play 7 games and go into 2 really tough games against a really good team. So, it was just a great game to watch, too.
It was highly entertaining.
It really was. Yeah. And Freddie stepped up in overtime, yes. Mm-hmm. But I keep coming back to the edge the Rangers have with Igor and net. And obviously we talked about special teams. In the end, that was the difference. Mm-hmm. Carolina had so many opportunities to win this one, but the PK for the Rangers, it just
I think you could say, too, the details in the game sort of got better as the game went on. I didn't love the first 3 goals for the Rangers against them because I thought there was some simplicity in some of the details missed, not getting under sticks, positioning, not checking when somebody's coming off the bench. But it was tighter that way. At least it wasn't time and space scoring chances in the overtime. It was tighter. Everything was contended. And if you're going to have a game that's going to go 50-50 puck after 50-50 puck, it gives the goalies a little bit easier chance to read the game too.
Yeah, and the Rangers scored a power play goal to win it in the second overtime. They also scored a power play goal to tie it early in the third period when Chris Kreider was able to score. Rangers went 0 for 4 on their first 4 power plays of the night, but then scored on 2 when it mattered the most. And Vincent Trocheck is the hero on this night, as is the goaltender. Dave Maloney working the Rangers dressing room. Let's hear from the winning goaltender, Igor Shesterkin.
I don't really know. I just know if your team score, you got like a lot of power right away, and MSG was electric tonight, so happy to win tonight.
What is it like for you when they're chanting your name?
Oh, it's unbelievable feelings every time, almost crying.
What does it say about the team that you guys, this is kind of the first adversity you faced all playoffs, you were trailing, came back, just to be able to do that?
Sorry?
Just the fact that you were trailing for the first time in the playoffs tonight, and the third you came back, and just kind of what that means to you.
We never give up, so we play till the end. Everybody play our game, and so we deserved that win tonight.
He's right about that. Almost crying, an unbelievable feeling. You remember thinking that?
Well, obviously, it's a great feeling. Anytime you do something and people acknowledge it and give you that support, it's hard to describe, but it's definitely a boost. When you play and you feel that support from the fans as a group, personally, as a player, it only lifts you, and you want to do more for your team and for your fans when you feel that support.
Hey, look, in this series that we all anticipate going long, I think part of the narrative before this series began was Igor was going to have to steal a couple, and he certainly stole one tonight. It would be great to steal Game 3 if it's going to be that offensive for Carolina. They just have to find out. The Rangers have to find out a way to slow them down when they get going. Because, guys, when they start turning it over, it was puck retrieval after puck retrieval. I mean, the shots on goal don't lie. And there was a lot of grade A there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know did Freddie have 3 grade A's in the overtimes? No. It's going to be close, right? But, I mean, Shesterkin was probably facing 10.
Yeah.
At least it
Carolina,
looked like it.
they play fast, and we talked about this off camera. Their first few strides, any time they have to go after a puck, it's explosive, it's fast. So the big question over the last couple of years, they kind of run out of gas a little bit when they reach second, third round because of how they play. It's very hard to sustain.
So hopefully they're tired in Game 3.
Well, I mean, for them, it's a pretty obvious answer. If I'm Carolina, what do they need to fix? They're 5-on-5, and how hard they play, it couldn't be much better. But it's their power play. If they're going to have any chance against the Rangers, they need to fix their power play. It's going to be almost impossible to beat this Rangers team with a power play that's not
And then
helping.
Also, I think, you know what else, Hank, is conversely, for the Rangers offensively, they have to play against Carolina in what I would describe as unsettled offense. And when you look at Kreider's goal, even though it's off a power play, it's one of those long feeds that goes to the corner. They had the same thing on their earlier goal with Lafreniere scoring that way. It's not going to be get in the zone, set it up, and drop a play. It's going to have to be unsettled, contested pucks that are 50-50, et cetera.
Hurricane power play 0 for 10 so far. Ranger power play 4 goals.